All right, we're about 20 games in. You can look at the landscape of the league and kind of measure where the Warriors are at. And I think we all agree it's time to talk trades. Now, before I present 3 realistic trades today for you, I do want to speak a little bit on this Kerr small ball thing, which it is a problem. Like, there's no doubt about it. I think that too much of the blame or focus is on Kerr rather than the actual roster. You think if Steve had Wiggins and Otto Porter Jr., we'd be talking about all this small ball? Some of this is roster construction. A lot of it is. Now, if you want to say Steve has that much control over the franchise where, they're pigeonholed into players, smaller players, then you can put it all on Steve. But to me, it's kind of 50-50. Steve goes to it. It's like his only pitch right now. And Dunleavy in the front office have just provided him this guard-heavy lineup. They don't have the big wings and players to play, really. So it's just, I get it. It's frustrating. We're playing the biggest team in the league, the best rebounding team in the league, and you got 4 guards out there. Who else was supposed to be out there? Trayce Jackson? Maybe. But that's how I feel on it. Yes, Kerr is, he's going to have to adapt here, but they've also got to give him bigger players to do so, and that's where today's video comes in. Hey, I didn't just get out of the gym. I just got done ripping a slab pack at an Arena Club. And Arena Club has changed the game when it comes to modern card collecting. A grind that used to take weeks all happens in minutes. Buy, sell, and trade with instant digital gratification. And this, I'm really having kind of not just a nostalgic time, the joy of finding a card that I've been looking for. And with slab packs, you can rip a wide range of packs starting at just $25. Every pack has grails that are at least 20 times the price of the pack. And you can see I pulled a Scotty Barnes card and I instantly sold it and made more than what the pack was. And you're gonna get the best value for your money with Slab Pack's transparent checklist and Arena Club's Slab Safe program. So whether you're buying, selling, trading, grading, or ripping packs, Arena Club is the safest, most trusted in the game. And right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack by going to arenaclub.com/alchemy and using the code alchemy. We all understand Kuminga. Will he play another game in a Warriors uniform? You hope he would, but we all understand he's the trade piece, right? And so that's what these trades are centered around. Let's start in Dallas, where the Mavericks season went sideways super quick. I still watch them just because Coop and Clay, but they're front court heavy. Anthony Davis is rumored to be floated out there. Everyone except for Cooper Flagg, essentially, and I guess Derek Lively, who, I'd love to make some sort of move for him, but it doesn't sound like he's on the table. But everybody else is on the table for this Mavericks team that has to pivot quickly. And so how about Kuminga for Daniel Gafford and Najee Marshall? A first-round pick would probably have to go Dallas's way as well. And Daniel Gafford's 27 years old, 10 points a game, 6 boards, a block and a half a game. He is a vertical spacer, a super shot blocker. He's a bouncy, big, long athlete, 7'3", 4 wingspan, jumps out the gym. He gets chipped up. When you look at that archetype of player, the bouncy shot blocking center, he rolls ankles and he is chipped up. But when he's in there, he'd be just what the doctor ordered as far as just pure size and athleticism. Think just a higher level Trayce Jackson, a much higher level of Trayce Jackson as far as vertical spacing and more catching and finishing dynamically. Trayce is so limited in that area, right? But, he blocks shots, runs the floor. And then you look at Najee Marshall, who is also 27 years old, came over from the Pelicans, and he's a foxhole guy. Does he go about 6'8"? He's a big, rugged, physical wing, can create his own shot a little bit. And, he's going to be a guy that can eat up minutes and have games where it's like, oh, Najee Marshall gave you 15, 20 points. And so you get 2 guys immediately into the rotation with size, physicality. Kuminga goes to Dallas with Cooper Flagg because obviously their timeline has changed. And are you willing to give up some sort of protected future pick? I think part of the question with these trades is Are they going to hold these picks for the big fish, for a big swing? We're not going to talk about the big fish in this video. These are the more, mid-level trades that seem more realistic. Now, there is another name in Dallas, PJ Washington. And he's a 20-point guy, right? He's a 20-point per game, legit third option. He rebounds well, right? He's got some size, and he would be a legit third guy. I think Dallas is open, right? And so it could be any number. Those are the three front court players that I would highlight. And depending on the package, are you willing to send picks? PJ, he's not a rim protector per se. He has some big, loud, weak side blocks, but Gafford's a true center, right? A true size center. But I like Washington and Najee Marshall. So Dallas, I think that's atop the list when you're looking to make deals. Let's go to a name that we've heard in the past here in Chicago. They got off to this crazy hot start, right? Josh Giddey is, he's putting up crazy numbers. Buzelis looks like a find. And they quietly have a lot of defend. They bring in Okoro, right? Io defends, Patrick Williams. They quietly have these wing defenders to go along with Giddey and Vucevic. And Buzelis competes, man, and he's a legit 6'10". But what did they start? 5-0, 6-0. They've come way back down to earth as expected. And part of that was reintroducing Coby White back into the rotation, who had been out with an injury. Now, Coby didn't get the extension he was looking for. They gave it to Giddey, essentially. And then you look back at that bad Patrick Williams contract, it seems like Coby is destined for a different destination. And so this is one that's been floated out there before, but how do you make the money work? Eventually, you're going to have to pay Coby White this summer, right? But could you send Kuminga and Buddy Hield for Coby and Patrick Williams? Patrick Williams is considered, a bad contract at $18 million per. He's 6'8". He's a budget Harrison Barnes. He leaves a lot to be desired offensively, but he's a 6'8" forward who does defend and can fit into the system. But more importantly, the prize is Coby White. He's been averaging 25 points a game, and he's that rim pressure, that scorer that the Warriors desperately need. He can push the pace at 6'5". You can play him alongside Steph. And when you talk about finding a shot creator, an actual shot creator, he might be the best one on this list I have for you today. It just depends how much the Warriors are. What contract does Coby want? He shoots 36% from three. Again, pushes the pace. He's bigger than you think, and he's a guy that can clear out, create his own shot. And does he have a little irrational confidence? There's a little Jordan Poole-ness to him, which may not be a bad thing when you consider what the Warriors need. And then another name that we've flirted with in the past, of course, Trey Murphy is probably the most current name that people are throwing around out there. And he's in town Saturday with this Pelicans team. Zion, I think, is going to be in the lineup. And he's averaging 20 and 6, about 37% from three. He is, listen, you look at Kuminga and the games missed for whatever reason. Trey Murphy's missed quite a few games in his career. People just don't pay attention because the Pelicans have been a mess, since he's been there. But 6'10", and he's a real shooter. He's not going to put the pressure on the rim in that bully ball game that Kuminga has that may lend itself to more playoff basketball. But what he is a true shooter that has to be guarded. You can't come off Trey Murphy. If a team decides to blitz Steph, he's liable to hit 7 or 8 threes. That's what's exciting. He's a system fit with size, a stretch, a version of an Otto Porter Jr., or a Bielitsa. That's not a good comp because he's much more of a wing. But a true 6'10" guy that really wants to take and make the three and has to be guarded out there. But he's going to give you a little more athleticism than that. But he's been injury prone. And I think the question is, the Pels are going to want a first round pick as well, right? And is that where I heard Marcus Thompson the other day say, that's where the line is. You'd give it up for Trey Murphy. Would you give it up for Coby White? What kind of pick would you throw in for one of those Dallas players? And so I think that those are 3 possibilities that are realistic in this new CBA. We can talk all we want about the defense, and it's been bad. When the point of attack defense is that bad, you leave yourself no chance, really. But if you look at the way the game is being played right now, the trend is this 94 feet pace scoring, and the scoring is way up, and we just don't have enough scoring. I think, yes, the defense has to improve, but we desperately need a third option, a guy that can create his own shot. And again, Coby White's probably the best guy I presented to you on this list, as well as Trey Murphy-Fitts. He is not someone that's really going to create his own shot. He's still going to be relying on Steph and Jimmy and others to get him shots. Coby White, he can go get his. But then you look at the next tier down of who's the second best shot creator on this list. It's probably PJ Washington, right? And so for that reason, those are the two guys I'd be, listen, I would not be mad at Trey Murphy at all. He's not a shot creator. He's a little injury prone. I'd be a little wary if we had to give up the kitchen sink for him, but I'd be excited. But if you could find a way to get Coby White or PJ Washington, and you know what? The more I think about it, PJ Washington might be a little more appealing just simply for the size. You're adding a 6'8" guy, and it's forcing Steve to play a bigger lineup if you get him. We get Coby White, you're going to be stuck with them 4-guard lineups. Anyway, I'm going to jump into this new segment that I'm doing here in these videos where someone leaves a comment. They want to leave a take on something here. You can comment in the YouTubes, Twitter. You find me however you want to, and I'm going to try to fit these into the videos. This is from David Post, a patron. Here we go. Buddy Hield absolutely needs to be held accountable. You were right on target. No cap. I'm absolutely certain that if you did a comparison of all the players in the NBA and looked at the turnovers per second with the ball in a non-shooting situation, he leads the league by double the amount of turnovers in that situation compared to anybody else. As a point guard, as somebody who grew up being coached, this is really a cardinal sin as a basketball player. It's fundamentally wrong. It should not happen. There is no excuse. How can this be allowed? I don't care if he's a great teammate. Why isn't everybody or somebody saying to him, look, no matter what, do not make a turnover? You can't say that this is just the Warriors' freewheeling style. No, this is different. This is someone who is actually going against one of the fundamental principles of playing basketball. Bottom line, it's just not professional of him. Somebody needs to level with this guy. It's killing the team. It's going to bite us in the ass. It already has. But as we get more into games that matter, the playoffs, the lessons must be learned. This habit must be broken at any cost. Tell them how you really feel, David. That was a wordy take on Buddy Hield and his turnovers. Listen, I don't think you can level with Buddy. I think he's kind of a carefree space cadet, you know? And I think what you tell him isn't what he hears necessarily. And I think Buddy, a lot of the time, confuses effort with execution. It's not always about trying harder. He always is playing hard, right? Sometimes it's about slowing down, anticipating, and executing. And he does. He has this habit of not looking at the pass. Like, because he's shot, and then if you slow, I have the advantage of looking at the tape the next day. A lot of the time when he decides to make the swing pass or the next pass, the ball starts to go, and then late his head, he knows the guy's there, and he's like, oh, and then he just gets pick-sixed. But Buddy's been a disaster, man. And with Melton, in the mix now, I think that this is one of the first changes that's going to be made. Obviously, Steph's going to be out a week, so we're going to see Buddy. But as we get healthier here, I think the accountability comes from just flat out less minutes. Anyway, let me know what y'all think of those 3 trades if you want to add a name. We know about the big fish that may be on the table, and I'll do a video about that. But that is, a catastrophic move when you talk about the salary moving forward. These moves here are much less costly when you look at managing the salary cap moving forward. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. Enjoy Black Friday and the rest of the weekend. I will be back with the Pelicans breakdown. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.